So, what do you think is causing the game industry to be in such a rut? Do you think it's like like trying to overly monetize the content? Is it putting battle passes? Basically, just overall, just being greedy.
I think greed might have something to do with it, because you're getting to these points where it doesn't matter how much you spend. There's always more to spend on. As far as like take Fortnite for example, a skin. How much content could you really push with that? You could do literally anything to appeal to anybody, and it's constantly monetized. Whether it's $5, $20 to get a skin, so you're constantly playing this same game, and then you get these things where it's like, oh, I want to have Deadpool, for instance.
Yeah,
$20. 2 weeks later, they're coming out with the Star Wars OG stuff. They have Luke Skywalker with a lightsaber, $20. Batman, $20. Oh, you can play as the Joker now, $20. That's $80 in Fortnite just on skins.
Is that how much the skins cost? Is $20?
Some of them.
Jeez.
Because with Fortnite, you have to purchase things with their V-Bucks in-game currency,
and you have to buy like the bundles of like the actual. Ellie is the star of the show. Yeah, she wanted to lay and cuddle, so she's just gonna snooze here while we record.
Ellie looks like a contortionist.
Yeah, like that's how it is on like I imagine most microtransactional games where they have like their own in-game currencies. You have to buy like you can't just buy the amount that you need. You have to buy like this package that's $20 and it leaves you with like a little bit left over, so it's like you're getting bonus.
Yeah, that I can't spend anywhere else.
Yeah.
I also think to a degree, like you think about when video games were really a big thing. So I think, late 80s, early 90s, they were the new thing.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not the big thing. From like mid 90s until we'll say mid 2010 era, I think they were like the big thing. And then as you look at the decline that comes up, I wonder if it's because of the advent of other just things.
Yeah.
Like these.
Yeah.
Doing things on these and social media, just having it at your fingertips. I think it cuts into everybody's time, throughout the day. Like I even find myself, just sitting there. I'll send you like 3 reels and you whine and cry like a little baby because I sent you 3 things. But, that's not just all I'm looking at. Like I'm just sitting there like watching stuff. And granted for me, it's mostly really late at night when I'm not going to be doing anything else but laying in bed. But, for other people, they might sit down to have their coffee and start, scrolling reels or looking at something on YouTube or pulling up an article, going through social media, whatever it is on their phone. And the next thing you know, they look up, their coffee's empty and a half hour's passed.
That is, that is a situation to get into. Like when you sit down, like in the mornings, if I sit down and, I have like a bowl of cereal or I have like, some eggs or something to eat. I have my coffee and like I'll eat breakfast. And as I'm chewing, like I'll just kind of like diddle on my phone and then, take a sip of coffee, look at some stuff, and then my coffee's empty. My plate's been empty for like 45 minutes.
Hold up. Plate?
And like an hour has passed. I'm like, whoa.
How are you doing cereal with a plate?
Well, if I have eggs, I'm on a plate. But like
I'm on a plate.
When it comes to like the whole gaming industry and the microtransactions and how to basically bleed your customers dry, like I feel like for a game like Fortnite, if you're playing Fortnite, that's your game. That's the game that you're going to play. That's the game that you enjoy playing. You put a lot of time into it. So like microtransactions for something like that, I feel is more acceptable, at least in my book,
So it's weird. I thought that initially too. And I think for kids, in a lot of ways for kids, it's like Fortnite or bust if they're Fortnite kids.
Yeah.
You know, there are other kids that like Rocket League if their parents will let them play it. And typically if you play Rocket League, you don't like Fortnite. It's like one or the other, it seems. But I also have noticed, like with at least among some of the other friends I have, and for me in particular, you know, we'll play Fortnite and we'll just like blast Fortnite for like a week and a half straight. And then next thing you know, it's just like, oh, we're playing Destiny for 2 weeks straight. Oh, back to Fortnite. And then we like throw Call of Duty in there. And, you know, maybe I think I launched Rocket League once and I was just like,
It's nice to have like a rotation of games that you play with your friends and stuff. Like, yeah, like you can play like a Call of Duty and then change it up and play, you know, something else and then change it up, go back to Call of Duty, change it up, play this. Like, that is nice at times, but like if I'm playing like a multiplayer game, like if I'm like a Call of Duty guy and like that's my game and that's all I play, like, you know, with my friends, or that's what I play when I want to sit down and play games or what have you, like I feel like if I'm buying that and like I'm buying the operator skins and I'm buying, you know, whatever you can buy in Call of Duty nowadays, I don't even know like the transactions and stuff in that game, but for me, like that kind of stuff makes sense because it's a game that's meant to be, you know, ongoing, especially something like Fortnite, Apex Legends, even like MTG Arena, to throw that into the mix. Like, you're buying gems to then buy packs to open packs of the new sets so you can get the new cards for your deck. You get wild cards. You can craft the cards for the new decks that you want to play.
you're not going down this magic path.
No. Like, it's just showing as a whole, like, that there are these games where microtransactions do make sense. So,
Well,
like, monetization for that matter and those games, 100% I can get on board with that because they're meant to be a long-lasting game.
that's the problem, though. That's actually what I was leading up to, not to stop you.
No, go ahead.
Somebody had to. I love you, really, I do. When we grew up, games, there were some games you could always play, right?
Mhm.
Like Tetris. Tetris you can always play. There are some games where you can play it multiple times, yeah, but, you know, you go through it once and it's done. You know, you can beat it again. You can beat it 20 times if you wanted
Like
to.
Super Mario 3, for example. Like, you could play that a bunch of times and it doesn't really get old. Like, you can beat it
Well,
once a year. You can beat it like once a year, twice a
Once
year.
a year, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
There are those games that you can play every year that you just get the itch and you go and you play it and you beat it and you're just like, all right.
Well, yeah, there are also games where you beat it once in a lifetime, and that's too many. But
So just before we get off that topic, I was actually it was kind of to like this point exactly, is there was a guy that I was listening to. I don't remember who he was, but he was talking about something along the lines of the gaming industry as a whole. And he was talking about, you know, replayability with games and stuff like that. And he talked about Red Dead Redemption 2. And he's like, I love that game. I thought it was absolutely, like, phenomenal. But I will never play it again.
rightfully so.
Which, like, proves my point when I talk about, like, new games with other people that maybe aren't in, like, the community of, like, you know, gamers. Is modern games are cool. 100%. They're fantastic. But it really speaks to how good a game is if you want to go back and replay it. You know, when you finish it and you're just like, that was so good. I've had my fix for now, but I will be coming back to this to play it again.
Right. And that's kind of in line with what I'm getting at, is we'll take Fortnite as our prime example. When you and I were playing on N64 or those other things where you would go out and buy a cartridge, we bought multiple games because we finished one and wanted something different.
Yeah.
We've now reached this point where a single game is now reinventing itself in seasons where you basically start over from the beginning and have to, re-level up to get all the good stuff. And you're just in this one game.
Yeah.
And it's continuous. And, you have the microtransaction aspect of it. The game itself is free. I'm wondering if because people are so ingrained in playing these single games, like just, grinding on these things time and time again, and then you reach a point and it resets and you start over and you keep doing it again. Are they just not buying as many games as they used to because they have no need to fulfill that piece?
So a lot of the people that play these kinds of games like Apex, Fortnite, and stuff like that, they have a group of friends that they're playing with.
Right.
It speaks to when we were kids, we had, our friends over and we played N64 or we played Super
Duke
Nintendo
Nukem.
Or we
Duke Nukem,
even in my teenage years when it was, all right, I'm going to go over to my friend Andrew's house and we're going to play Halo until 5 a.m. Like, it speaks to that. Like, I had my time with those. And yes, there were definitely long stretches of time where I played nothing but, Modern Warfare 2, Halo 3, Halo 2, and games like that. But the people that are playing these kinds of games are usually playing with their friends. There's, people that play solo on Fortnite or whatever. That's casual gamers that sit down after a long day of work. They want to get in a couple of games and that's it.
Are there?
But they're not. I don't think those people are the ones that are dropping, all this money in the microtransactions.
Actually, I think the people that play solo, that are dedicated enough to go out there solo, like on multiple occasions, are probably the people that are like, let me buy that, let me buy that, let me buy that, let me invest my life into this.
Yeah.
Like, man.
Yeah, but there's
like that cat. Look at that cat. Guarantee you that cat plays Fortnite.
Not in this house.
I'll bet.
With the newer released games, like there's two that come to mind as of recent that have really been in the spotlight, and it's Star Wars Outlaws and it's the new Assassin's Creed. Have you seen the stuff with the new Assassin's Creed game?
No.
Like the stuff that they're, getting a lot of heat for.
What are they getting heat for?
So they've
been knifing people with blades in their wrists since the dawn of the century.
They showed their plans for like the release, their pre-order and like the different editions and stuff. So you have your standard edition that you can get, where it's you get the game.
Right.
Then you get the $20. You pay $20 extra, and you get the game 3 days early. You get an extra mission, but if you buy the $120 edition, you get all of the previous stuff, and you get to play it 3 days early. But if you buy the max edition, you get extra skill points. You get all this stuff, and you get the battle pass or whatever. And it's like,
pay for progress.
So
nice.
Hold on. So now you're not only are you charging for progress, if you start the game
and early access
with 5 skill points and you get the game 3 days early, you're paying for progress in the game to start out with an advantage, but now you're charging to get the game early, but now you're charging for a battle pass in a single player game. How does that make any sense? How are you going to have a battle pass in a single-player game?
So Ubisoft, they're still Ubisoft, right?
I'm pretty sure both of those games are coming out from Ubisoft. I could be wrong on the Star Wars one. I think that it might be EA.
I believe he was the executive who said people are going to have to get used to not owning their games.
Yes.
This is your opportunity as a consumer to say, fuck off.
Yeah, like, I can... different editions, sure. I'm down for, if I want the standard edition, if I want a deluxe edition that comes with a little extra perks or whatever, or, like, a big collector's edition that comes with, like, statue and stuff like that.
Collector's edition, yes.
Yeah.
That middle ground one, not necessary.
No.
Not necessary. You don't need to sell the game with all this extra crap. You can sell the extra crap after the fact.
If you're going to do, like, some sort of, like, middle ground, just take the content that you're giving them with the middle tier and just throw it in the pre-order bonus.
Here's an idea. Stop trying to weasel money out of people by playing on what you think their like deep desires are or their fear of missing out, and just publish a damn game.
That's the issue with the game industry, though, is they are trying to get as much time out of you into their game as humanly possible, and they think that all of these little microtransactions or, day one patches or day one DLC or all of these little things that they just slowly trickle out to you, that's going to keep you invested. But it's not. It's backfiring on them now because now people are talking about it. Every YouTuber out there that's in this kind of stuff is screaming from the rooftops like, this is the problem. And it's over monetization. You can't just focus on monetizing these games because you're just going to fail every single time.
Well, that's the thing. They're not, because people want what they want, and they just give in.
Exactly. If you deliver a good quality game that isn't absolute dog water on release, it functions and it has good gameplay and it has replayability and or just a good experience for, if your friends want to play with you, you want to play with other, like, if that's your goal, to have this, you're not gonna compete with Fortnite or Call of Duty in that space. You're just not going to. Stop trying to. Make your own just game and push it out finished, complete, in working order, and don't try and make the customer feel like they're being robbed.
I think they just need to make the jump to games as software as a service. If they really are that concerned about monetization, call it a day, stop your physical copies, make it digital, pay by month to do it.
Well, that's where we're going for sure.
If your priority is how much coin you can rack up from your product, like with your game, just all or nothing, man. Like, stop with this nonsense of, oh, you get it 3 days early because you gave us more money. You get special treatment because you gave us more money. And that's the weird thing. Like, there are actually things out there where I believe that's like almost a spin on extortion or bribery.
I mean, kind of, yeah, because it's they're trying everything, and like these, I don't know. I really wish I knew if Outlaws was Ubisoft or not.
Like, do you think so? Next movie coming out, if I pay $150 for my ticket to the theater, can I see it a week early?
Dude, you remember when? I don't know if you had this, but my parents would go to an auction on the weekends, and they would come home, and there'd be like movies that were still in the theaters, and they'd have like these super thin DVD cases of these movies, but they were like obviously bootlegged movies.
Yo, your parents didn't go to auctions; they went to flea markets.
They went to the black market.
Their dad, yeah. So there were a few of those in my day down in around Baltimore City, and you could find literally any movie on a plain DVD-R, sharpied in a slim jewel case that usually was some rather colorful choice, like a blue one or a green one or a yellow one. So Bad Boys, I think my stepdad bought Bad Boys and Bad Boys 2 that way, and he came back, and I was like, you realize you just violated every piracy law in the book, right?
I remember we got The Day After Tomorrow, and I remember we were watching the movie, and we saw like somebody get up and walk across at the bottom, and I was like, wait, they're just filming this in the theater.
That's funny.
But back to the game industry topic before we get too off track.
It's horrible.
It's bad, and they need to figure out how to right the ship, because if they don't, it's just going to get worse.
They have no reason to.
I think that with the way that the community and like the customers speak, and you speak with your wallets. If you don't want this to happen, don't buy it, don't support it. And if there's enough outcry for this, like, they will revert.
Let me put it to you this way. Many, 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 many years ago, a couple guys got together and threw a bunch of crap in Boston Harbor over a 2% tax. 2%.
Mm-hmm.
That was a statement. They boycotted things. That was a statement. It made sense. It cost the company money. The company they had no choice.
Yeah.
Until we, as this humongous population that we are now, realize that those things work at scale, we're never going to get a statement in edgewise.
Yeah.
Because these companies care about nothing but the black and white on paper.
Yeah. All they care about is what their percentages look like at the end of the day. And it's sad that the gaming industry has come to this, because like there's so many games that come out, and there's potential for so many good titles, and especially like franchises that are, from when we were, playing PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2 games, and like that's a franchise they resurrected, and they're like, look, we're back and we're gonna, do this right, or we're gonna give it a proper send off, and it's like, yes, finally we're gonna get that. And it's just a cash grab. They put zero effort into it. It's just dead and just nothing.
If the new Assassin's Creed, and I love Assassin's Creed, if the new Assassin's Creed only sold 50,000 copies total,
mm-hmm.
Ubisoft would have a nightmare on their hands to deal with financially.
Yeah.
And they would be begging people to explain what they could do.
Yeah. Because with games, it's not like a movie where you have like it opening in theaters and like you can kind of sucker people in to see it, and then like on release day, and then they're like, oh, this sucks. For a game, like you only have like the people that really want to buy it, which is much less than like a movie, because a movie speaks to everybody. Everybody loves movies.
No.
There's select people that don't love movies because they suck, but you love movies. Shut your mouth.
Movies are cool. I'm not a big screen person outside of games. I like the interactive piece.
Yeah, well, yeah, so do I. But, when it comes to games, you're not getting as big of an audience. So when you get these people and sucker them into buying a copy... Oh, she's gone.
Wah, wah.
To buy a copy, you can only sucker them for so long. And with how popular, game content creation is on social media and stuff, like, you got a couple of people saying that it sucks, it's dead in the water.
I'm telling you now, you can sucker them until they don't let you sucker them.
I pity the fool.
You can do it as long as they buy it.
Yeah,
like, that's literally the case. I mean, you see a couple people say it sucks, it gets a bad rap. I think it takes more than a couple people saying it, but to your point, it gets a bad rap. Does it really impact it does it really impact it to the point where it makes an impact? If you understand what I'm saying.
It can.
Like, reducing sales by 10% is not fun. It doesn't necessitate a change.
Yeah.
It's not going to crash a company.
Imagine if Cyberpunk, when it came out, was what Cyberpunk is right now. Like, it took them, 2 years to get that game into, like, a functioning, good state?
Well, yeah, and what they should have done was not released it and took the additional 2 years.
Imagine how massive that game would have been if it released in the state that it is. Like, everybody and their mother was hyped on that game. That game was, like, hyped to the max. And then it came out, and people tried to play it, and it was just the absolute worst experience anybody could ever have.
Yeah, I mean...
And then now they're like, please, come back. And it's like, dude, you've already soiled that one. Like, we've got other games now that we're playing. If you don't capture them in that first like holding game in hand ready to play it, you've lost them.
The first impression?
Yeah, yes.
The opening window, it's with anything. You have a window of time to capitalize on that feeling of new.
Yeah.
That curiosity.
The life cycle of anything is so small nowadays. The
Well,
news cycle, the, whatever's popular at the time, like, you see articles about Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, for example, when that was still like booming. Like, if you had all that, the next thing, everyone's like, oh, the next thing. We don't care about that anymore. It's the American attention span.
It's the speed of life.
I can't even read that.
It says, did I just soil myself?
Did I just soil myself?
Oh my God.
Did you just soil yourself?
I did not, but you may have.
Maybe.
I don't understand why we as a society feel the need to live so fast.
It's crazy, the amount of things that people try and do all at once. Like, I was just watching an Asmongold video today, or listening to an Asmongold video today, and he was saying that he was so excited to play this game. It was the first Dragon's Dogma. He was so excited to play it. He sat down, he played it, and he hated it. He was trying to watch YouTube videos, he was trying to listen to music, and he was trying to like do other things while he played it. And then he stopped doing all of that stuff and just played the game, and he was like, it was incredible. And it's like, that's all that needs to happen. Just slow down. When you sit down to play a game, put your phone away, sit down, focus on the game, and just try and figure out if it's the game that you want to play. Because a lot of people get influenced by outside people, and that's just what they do. They're just like, oh no, he said it was bad, it's terrible. And then they go out and tell other people, yeah, it's bad, don't play it.
Yeah, I mean, perfect example. I'm being heavily influenced by that burrito right now. And it's not going to be pretty in a minute, but no, you're right. And I'm guilty of it to an extent with some stuff. Like, I multitask.
I
was multitasking the other day when we were upstairs working on whatever it was that we were working on.
Fixing that closet shelf that decided
yeah,
to eat
like,
itself
I'm
up
sitting
the
there
wall.
trying to field, like, different stuff online and at the same time putting screws in a wall. And it was pretty comical, but, sometimes I think it's somewhat necessary.
Sometimes it is necessary, and sometimes there's a time and a place.
Yeah, and I don't think there are many occasions where you, like, when we talk about multitasking, I don't see an argument for doing more than two things simultaneously.
It depends. I mean, if you're sitting at a desk and you have like multiple monitors, you can do a lot. But if you're driving a car and you're trying to read the newspaper while talking on the phone and eating a bowl of cereal, like, that's a problem.
But here's the thing.
Don't do that.
Your eyes can only focus on one thing at a time.
True, but there's things that you can do in the background. You can have a YouTube video up that you're listening to and like kind of watching, and then you're like,
well, hold up. How are you kind of watching it if you're focused on a different monitor working on something?
well, if you
How
kind
are
of
you
like
watching it?
pan back and forth.
So you shuffle back and forth and truly pay attention to neither.
Well, yeah, but there's some things that you can half pay attention to while you do it. Like, I can sit at my monitor, play on two different RuneScape accounts, and listen to a YouTube video while I do it, and then watch a movie on the other thing if I wanted to.
And this goes back to what my great-grandfather had always told me. Don't half-ass anything, whole-ass one thing. He literally said that. God rest his soul. Love him to death.
That's what I'm going to start saying now. If you want to do it, whole ass it.
There you go. Right? I mean, it's true though, because like you start to divulge your focus amongst, let's say, three different things. Can you truly say that any of those three things you are 100% confident was done correctly?
I mean,
You
yeah.
know, so maybe the acceptable threshold's like 80% correct for
It
each, but
it's all just dependent on what exactly the task is that you're doing.
well, yeah. I mean,
You know, that like
writing a grocery list is a lot different than like writing a will. Um,
yeah, if you're gonna multitask while like writing something, don't multitask while you're writing a will. Multitask while you're writing the grocery list.
but
But to bring this whole topic full circle, is when the people are whatever company it is, when they're focused on trying to make a game, they are just focusing on too many things at once.
Yeet!
How can we bleed them of all of their money? How can we keep them playing? How can we do this? How can we do this? How can we do... And it just continues down the line, and they have all these different people working on this, that, the other thing, and...
I mean, I think what you're trying to say here is they really want to make the decision on how they can grab you by the throat and hold your face to an open flame.
Basically, yeah.